Many times in the New Testament, the Bible uses a storm as a metaphor for life. There's several storms on the Sea of Galilee where Jesus and the disciples were involved. And then there's this huge storm on the Mediterranean Sea with Paul. And the reason they're used as a metaphor is because sometimes storms are unavoidable. We will all have challenges and difficulties and issues that we'll have to face in life because life isn't fair and life is difficult. And when these men and women who are in these storms that we see in the scriptures respond and react, the way they do is a lesson for us. And this one in the book of Acts, where Paul is a prisoner and he's being transported to Rome, he's not in control. He's at the whim of whatever's going on with his captors and the crew of the ship. And the crew of the ship, they were sailing along the Mediterranean, and for 14 days they didn't see the sun, so they couldn't navigate, couldn't see the moon or the stars, so there was no navigation point. And Paul says we just drifted. We just let the storm take us wherever it wanted to take us. And then in chapter 27, verse 14, Paul says this, that we took such a violent battering from the storm that the next day the crew began to throw the cargo overboard. So things were so bad and they were so afraid that they were going to get shipwrecked that they just started throwing over the stuff they needed. They threw over their supplies. They abandoned their food. And I see this sometimes in the life of people when they face a storm, when they face a crisis. They start to throw overboard things that they really need. Sometimes you're tempted to throw away your principles because things are so bad. Give up on a relationship. Abandon your faith. And I think the great big example that we all saw a couple of years ago was during COVID, when things were crazy for everybody globally. So many people walked away from their faith, set aside their principles, just abandoned the things that got them where they were. And what I want to say to you today is you're going to face a storm. It's inevitable. And when you do, be determined not to throw overboard, not to discard the things that are important, the things that got you where you are. Don't throw over the things you need. Don't give up on the disciplines that got you where you are. Don't abandon your faith. Don't walk away from your church. Don't walk away from the things that you absolutely need in life. The interesting thing about this is this crew was throwing over everything they needed, hoping it would make their ship lighter and that they wouldn't get shipwrecked. And you know what happened? They got shipwrecked. So they got shipwrecked by trying to avoid being shipwrecked. And the way they tried to avoid it was to get rid of everything they thought was weighing them down, the things that they needed. And they got shipwrecked anyway. And so here they are on an island without their supplies and without food because they threw them overboard. So if you're in a storm today, hold on to the things that are important. Double down on the things that are important. Don't throw them away. Don't walk away. Don't abandon them. If you're facing that storm, that's what you need to do. If you're not in a storm, you need to be determined right now. Build your character now, because character isn't built in a storm. It's revealed in a storm. So build your character now so that when that storm comes, you're ready and you won't let go of the things that are important, the things that you need. Most of all, when you're in a storm, always remember, Jesus is with you. Bye.